event. Among them are representatives from the CPC, the central government, the military, and of course people from all walks of life, members of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress and the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, members of democratic parties, members of the People's Liberation Army and Armed Police Force, veteran party members, and retired government officials. And of course, people from the business community, foreign ambassadors.
同志们，朋友们，
Friends,
各位来宾，
ladies and gentlemen,
庆祝改革开放
the conference commemorating the 40th anniversary of reform and opening up now begins.
请全体起立。
Please all rise.
唱
For the national anthem of the People's Republic of China. Please be seated. Today, the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and the State Council are convening this conference to commemorate the 40th anniversary of China's reform and opening up, review this remarkable journey over the past 4 decades and its valuable experience, and honor those who have made outstanding contribution to reform and opening up. We're joined here today by Comrade Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, President of China, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission. Also, other members of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, Comrade Li Zhanshu, Comrade Wang Yang, Comrade Wang Huning, Comrade Zhao Leji, and Comrade Han Zheng, Comrade Wang Qishan, Vice President of China. And other party and state leaders in Beijing, members of the military leadership, heads of different departments and Beijing, members of other political parties and All China Federation of Industry and Commerce, prominent personages without party affiliation, veteran party members and retired officials, individuals to be honored today, and their relatives, compatriots from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, overseas Chinese, and returned overseas Chinese and their relatives, representatives of Beijing citizens, the People's Liberation Army, and the Armed Police Force, heads of diplomatic missions to China, and representatives of international organizations in China, and foreign experts working in China. Now, Comrade Wang Huning, member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau and member of the Secretariat of the CPC Central Committee, will now read the decision of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council to honor individuals with outstanding contribution to China's reform and opening up program. Decision of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and the State Council to honor individuals with outstanding contribution to China's reform and opening up program, 18 December 2018. This year marks the 40th anniversary of the start of China's reform and opening up endeavors. In December 1978, at the third plenary session of this 11th Central Committee, the Communist Party of China made a historic decision to shift the focus of the work of our party and the country to economic development and start a process of reform and opening up, and called on the entire party and Chinese people of all ethnic groups to embark on a new long march toward socialist modernization. It was a major turning point in the history of our party and the country after the founding of the People's Republic of China, and it was a monumental decision that charted the course for China today. In the past 40 years, our party has rallied the Chinese people around itself and led them in forging ahead with tenacity and resolve. We have overcome outdated mindset and removed institutional obstacles that held back the development of our country and the nation, thus blazing a path of distinctive Chinese features. We have unleashed the vitality of China and pulled its strength, and we have achieved a great transition from catching up with the trend of the times to steering it, riding an epic in the development of China and the Chinese nation. These efforts have brought changes never seen before to our party, our country, our people, our armed forces, and our nation. China's great endeavor of reform and opening up has also exerted a profound impact on the world, presenting other countries with huge opportunities. Since the 18th Party Congress, the Party Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, with immense political courage and a keen sense of responsibility, has carried out sweeping reforms and opened China further to the world. Historic achievements have been made in the cause of the party and the country, which has gone through historic transformation as a result. This has ushered socialism with Chinese characteristics into a new era and opened a new historical chapter of reform and opening up. With renewed vigor, we, the Chinese nation, are standing tall and firm in the East. Our people have created great achievements of reform and opening up, and our people are the source of strength for advancing reform and opening up. Indeed, it is the efforts and ingenuity of our Chinese people in their hundreds of millions that have made it possible to make breakthroughs in terms of both understanding and practices of reform and opening up. It is thanks to these efforts that new things have emerged and new practices developed in the course of reform and opening up. In the great cause of reform and opening up in the past 40 years, a large number of pioneers who have ridden the tide of the times, who are committed to reform and innovation, and who have boldly explored the path forward, have emerged. On the occasion of the 40th anniversary of reform and opening up, to honor outstanding individuals, boost public morale, carry forward the pioneering spirit of bold reform, and galvanize the entire party and the Chinese people of all ethnic groups to unswervingly follow the party and carry through reform and opening up to the end, the Party Central Committee and the State Council have decided to confer on Yu Ming and other comrades, 100 in all, the title of Reform Pioneers and award medals of Reform Pioneers to them. In appreciation of the support and assistance given by the international community to China's reform and opening up endeavors, the Friendship Medal for contribution to China's reform will be awarded to Alain Maheu and other 9 foreign friends. The reform pioneers honored today have made great contribution to advancing reform and opening up. They are pace-setters in pursuing this great initiative, and they are outstanding representatives of our people. They support the leadership of the party, China's socialist system, reform and opening up, and they have forged ahead in the right direction of reform. They have broken free the constraints of outdated thinking, overcome the resistance of vested interests, tackled difficulties head-on, and navigated treacherous rapids. They have fought on the front line of reform and opening up, and taken the lead in changing thinking and the perceptions, systems, and institutions, thus promoting reform and opening up and the socialist modernization drive. They have taken the lead in acting on core socialist values, and they have strongly promoted the national spirit with patriotism at its core and the spirit of our times featuring reform and innovation. Their dedication, selfless contribution, and integrity are greatly admired by our people. The foreign friends honored here today are all old friends of us Chinese, long committed to promoting China's exchanges and cooperation with other countries and deeply involved in China's reform and opening up endeavors. They have made outstanding contribution to supporting China's great cause of reform and opening up. Socialism with Chinese characteristics has entered a new era, and we have embarked on a new journey toward the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. A great era calls for a great spirit, and a lofty cause needs pioneers to advance it. The Party Central Committee and the State Council call upon the entire party and the Chinese people of all ethnic groups to act upon the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era and follow the example of the outstanding individuals honored today. We should strengthen the four consciousnesses, have full confidence in the path, theory, system, and culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and follow the two upholds. We should remain true to the commitment we made when we launched the Reform and Opening Up initiative, continue to pursue it, and remain firm in our confidence and resolve to press ahead with Reform and Opening Up. Let us rally more closely around the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, and create a powerful force to further advance Reform and Opening Up from a new starting point, a new era. Let us strive to secure a decisive victory in building a moderately prosperous society and a great victory in building socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era. Let us endeavor to realize the Chinese dream, a dream of national renewal, and satisfy people's wish for a better life. Let us work together to safeguard world peace, promote common development, and build a community with a shared future for mankind.
下面，请工作人员宣读授予改革先锋
The following is
中国
the
改
list
革友谊奖章人员名单。
reform pioneers and the recipients of the Friendship Medal for contribution to China's reform.
改革发展的重要
Yu
推
Ming,
动者
leading contributor to the
于敏
reform and development of defense technologies.
基础教育改革的优秀教
Yu,
师代
teacher
表
of excellence in primary
于一
education reform.
农村改革的
Farmers
先
who
行
piloted
者
the household contract responsibility
小岗村
system in
大
Xiaogang
包干
village,
带头人
pioneers of rural reform.
率先到内地
Ma
投
Monkey,
资的
leading
澳
entrepreneur
门
and
著
social
名企业
advocate
家
from
和社
Macau
会
who
活
took
动
the
家
lead in investing in the
马万
mainland.
祺 数字经济的
Ma
创新
Yun,
者
innovator of digital
马
economy.
云，互联网加行动的探
Ma
索
Huateng,
者
pathfinder
马
in
化
Internet
腾
Plus.
基层社会治理
Ma
创新
Shanxiang,
的优
people's
秀人民
mediator
调
who
解
contributed
员
to innovation in
马
community
善
level
祥
social governance.
863计划
Wang
的主要
Daheng,
倡
main
导者
initiator of 863
王大
program.
海洋维权的模范
Wang Shumao,
王
exemplar
书
of
茂
safeguarding China's rights in the South China Sea.
推动汉字信息化的王马五笔
Wang
字
Yongming,
形发明
inventor of
者
Wang Ma Wubi, an
Wang
input
Yongmin
method that facilitated the digitization of Chinese characteristics.
科学治沙的探路人
Wang Youde,
王有德
trailblazer in desertification control.
打造寿光蔬菜品牌
Wang Boxiang, pioneer of
推动农业
agricultural
产业化的
industrialization
典
by
型
creating
代
the
表
Shouguang vegetable
王
brand.
伯祥，科技星游保
Wang
文产的
Qiming,
大
new
庆
Iron
新
Man
铁
of
人
Daqing, who promoted
Wang
sustainable
Qiming
oil production through scientific techniques.
科技体制改革的
Wang
实
Xuan,
践探
pioneer
索
of the
者
reform of the management system
Wang
for
Xuan
science and technology.
支持国家建设
Wang
和改
Quancheng,
革开放
outstanding
的
member of the Hong
香
Kong
港
business
工商
community
界
who
优秀
supported
代
China's
表
development, reform,
王
and
宽
opening up.
成，推动依法治国的理
Wang
论创新
Jiafu,
者
pioneer of new theories in
王家
promoting
福
law-based governance.
全面从严治党中
Wang Ying, outstanding
纪检
member of
监察
discipline
干部的
inspection
优
and
秀代表
supervision staff who contributed to the
王
full
英
and strict governance of the party.
保卫改革开放和平
Wei
环境的
Changjing,
战斗
war hero in
英雄
safeguarding the peaceful
韦昌
environment
进
for reform and opening up.
基层群众
Wei
自治
Huanneng,
制
a
度的
pioneer
探索
public
者
self-governance at the
韦
village
焕
level.
能，知识型企业职工的
Zhu
优
Xiaoling,
秀
a
代
model
表，
employee of knowledge-based
小林
enterprises.
党员领
Kong
导干
Fansen,
部的
a
楷
model
模
party official.
孔繁森。经济体制改革的积极倡导者
a champion of economic
厉以
reforms.
宁。载人深潜事业的
He
实
is
践
home,
者
a pioneer for
叶
China's
聪
manned deep-sea submersibles.
初心不改的农村
申
的
纪兰
先
a
进
model
模范代
NPC
表
deputy from rural
申纪
China.
兰。外交领域国家
19
利益
庸
的忠
a
实
loyal
捍
defender
卫
of
者
China's national interests
19
in
庸
international affairs.
三峡移民安置的实践
冉少
探索
之
者
an architect of
冉少
resettlement
之
programs for the Three Gorges Dam project.
港口装卸自动化
包
的
启帆
创新者
an innovator in port
包启
automation.
帆。西藏牧区改革的排
尼玛
头兵
顿珠 a reform
尼玛
pioneer
顿
in
珠
pasturing areas in Tibet.
扎根牧区，带领
Ting
牧民
Batir
脱
a
贫
model
致富的
community
优
level
秀基
official
层干部
dedicated to poverty
徐
alleviation
巴
for
特尔
herdsmen.
国企改革韩钢经验
刘
的
汉章
创造
the
者，
designer of the 汉
刘
钢
汉
model
章
for SOE reform.
民营企业家的优秀代表
刘永好 a
刘
leading
永
private
好
entrepreneur.
远洋运输体制改革的
许立荣
推动者
a champion of
许
institutional
立荣
reforms in sea shipping.
践行工匠精
许
神的
正超
优秀
a
代
fine
表
example of
许
the
正超
craftsmanship spirit.
我国首位奥运
徐
冠军
海峰
徐
China's
海
first
峰
Olympic champion.
中国特色社会主
许
义
崇德
法律
an
体
active
系建设
contributor
的
to the
积极
legal
推动
system for
者
socialism with Chinese
许崇
characteristics.
德。复兴号高速列车
孙永
研制
才
的主持者
R&D leader of the
孙永
Fuxing
才
high-speed train project.
航天科技事业创
孙
新发
家栋
展的
an
重要
instrumental
推动
contributor
者
to innovation in
孙
China's
家栋
aerospace program.
农村改革的重要推动者
杜润生 a champion of
杜润
China's
生
rural reform.
民营汽车工业
李书
开
福
放
a
发展
private
的优
business
秀
leader
代
of
表
China's growing auto
李书
industry.
福。电子产业打开
李
国
东生
际
a
市场的开
trailblazer
拓
for
者，
China's electronics
李
industry
东
going
生
global.
讴歌改革开放的歌唱家
李谷一
李谷一，
artist who sings in tribute to reform and opening up.
开创山区扶贫
李
新路的
保国
太行
a
山渔
committed
工，
pioneer for poverty
李保
alleviation in the
国
Taihang Mountains.
海归创业报国，
李彦宏
推动科技创新的
exceptional
优秀
entrepreneur
代
who
表
has returned from
李彦
overseas
宏
contributing to China's scientific and technological innovation.
弘扬社会主义
李雪
核
健
心价值
an
观的
outstanding
优秀
performing
表
artist
演
who
艺
has
术
played a
家，
remarkable role in
李
promoting
雪
core
健
socialist values.
不忘初心，
杨
奉献
善洲
一
a
生的
model
退休
retired
干部
official
楷
who
模
dedicated his whole life
杨善
to the
洲
well-being of the people.
城市集体企业改革
步
的
新生
先行
a
者，
pioneer in the reform of
步
urban
新
collective
生
enterprises.
华西村改革
吴仁
发
宝
展的
leader
带
of the
头人
reform and the development of
吴
Huaxi
仁宝
village.
人居环境科学的
吴良镛
创建
founder of the
者
science of human
吴良
settlements.
镛， 乡镇基层党员干部的优秀代表
吴金印 ，a model party member working in rural communities.
厦门航空事业
吴荣
的开
南
拓者
，a business pioneer for 厦门 Airlines.
基层社会治理
邱俄
创新
国
的优
，a
秀
police
民警代
officer who
表
excels in the
邱俄
innovation of
国
community-level social governance.
乡镇企业改组
何
上市的
享健
先行者
forerunner in the
何享
reorganization
健
and listing of township and village enterprises.
落实干部政策
何载
平反
model of
冤假
implementing the
错案的
party's
执
Carter
行者
policy and
何
redressing
载
mishandled cases.
深度贫困地区带领村民脱贫攻坚的优秀代表于留芬，
于留芬 outstanding representative in the campaign of lifting villagers out of abject poverty.
司法体制改革的燃灯者
邹碧华 pathfinder in the
邹碧华
reform of the judicial system.
民族团结进步的践行者
Kurban Niaz
库尔班尼亚
advocate for
兹
ethnic unity and progress.
对外开放法
张月
治
娇
建设的
active
积极
contributor
实
to
践
opening
者
up through the building of
张月
China's
娇
legal system.
注重企业管理创新的优秀企业家
张瑞敏 outstanding
张瑞
entrepreneur
敏
in innovative corporate governance.
创新型一线劳动者的优
张黎明
秀代
model
表
worker on the
张
front line
黎
who
明
excels in innovation.
维护社会公平正义的模
张彪
范检察
model
官
procurator
张
who
彪
upholds social equity and justice.
中外合作平硕
陈日
模式的
新
创造者
creator of the 平硕 model for
陈日新
cooperation between China and foreign countries.
一带一路卫生领域合
Margaret
作
Chan
推
from
动者
Fuchun, advocate of
陈
health
冯富
cooperation under the
珍
Belt and Road Initiative.
激励青年勇攀科学
陈
高峰的
景润
典范
famous mathematician
陈
and
景
inspiration
润
for the youth to make scientific breakthroughs.
社区党建和治理
毛永红
创新的
a
探
model
索
worker of
者
innovation for
毛
community
永
party
红
building and governance.
经济体制改革
林毅夫
理论的探索
pioneer in
者
theory on economic
林毅
system
夫
reform.
可可西里和三江源
杰桑索南
生态
达杰
环境保护
forerunner
的
in
先驱
ecological protection of
杰
可可
桑
西里 and the
索南
Sanjiang
达
Yuan
杰
area.
用生命践行
罗阳
航空报
who
国的
dedicated
优
his
秀
life
代
to
表
China's aviation
罗
industry.
阳。农村基层党建莱西经验的实
周明
践
金
创新者
an innovator
周
in
明
using
金
Laixi experience in party building in primary level rural communities.
小商品市场汉
郑
正街
菊选
模式
the
的主
creator
要
of
开
the
创
model
者
of the Hanzheng Street
郑菊
in small
选
commodities market sales.
马克思主义中国化
郑
理论
德荣
研究
the
的推
promoter
动
of the
者
theory on adapting
郑
Marxism
德
to
荣
Chinese context.
塑造传承女
郎
排精
平 an
神的优
embodiment
秀
of the
代
spirit
表
of the Chinese women
郎
volleyball
平
team.
改革开放中涌现的
胡晓燕
优秀农
an
民工代
outstanding
表
example of migrant
胡
workers
晓
in
燕
reform and opening up.
真理标准大讨
胡福明
论的代表
an
人物
exponent in the debate on the
胡福
criterion
明
for truth.
中国天眼的主要发
南
起者
仁东
和奠基
founder
人
of the 500-meter
南仁东
aperture spherical telescope.
温州民营经济的
南
优
存辉
秀代
a
表
leading entrepreneur
南
in
存
Wenzhou's
辉
private economic sector.
科技产业化的
柳
先行
传志 a
者
pioneer in
柳
applying
传
science and
志
technology to business.
工 公共卫生事件应急体系建设的重要
a major
推动
contributor
者
to the system to
钟
respond
南
to
山
public health emergencies.
资本市场发展的实
吕国刚
践
a
者
pioneer in the development of the
吕
capital
国刚
market.
谱写改革开放
施光
赞歌
南
的音乐
composer
家
who wrote for reform
施
and
光
opening up.
南。体育领域交
Yao
流
Ming, an
开放的
outstanding
优秀
contributor
代
to
表
exchange and opening
姚
up in
明
sports.
张家港精神的塑造
秦振
者
华 founder of the
秦振华
Zhang Jiagang spirit.
改革开放试验田
袁
蛇
庚
口
creator
模
of the
式的
model
探
of
索
Shekou,
创
an
立者
experimental field for
袁
reform and
庚
opening up.
杂交水稻研究的开创者
袁隆平
袁隆平
pioneer on hybrid rice.
企业军转民实践的
倪润
创新
峰
者
a leading entrepreneur in
倪润
converting
峰
military production into civil production.
雷锋精神的优秀
郭明
传
义
承者
an embodiment of the
郭明义
Lei Feng spirit.
中医药科技创
楚
新的
悠悠 a
优秀
leading
代表
scientist in innovations
屠
on
呦呦
traditional Chinese medicine.
改革文学作家的代
蒋子龙
表
a prominent author on
蒋子
reform.
龙，空军实战化创新战法的优
蒋家骥
秀代表
an outstanding
蒋
innovator
家
of combat
骥，
tactics for Air Force.
三巡苍穹的英雄航天员
景海鹏
景海鹏
an，astronaut who has made 3 space travels.
核武器事业的开拓
陈开
者
甲 a pioneer in
陈开
China's
甲
nuclear weapons development.
乡镇企业改革发
鲁
展的
冠球
先
a
行
pioneer in the
者
township
鲁
enterprise
冠
reform.
球。倾力支持国家改革开放
Zhang
的
Hinchi
香
a
港
Hong
著
Kong
名企
entrepreneur
业家
dedicated to
曾
China's
宪
reform and
子，
opening up.
助推思想解放，
谢晋
拨乱反
a
正
film
的电
artist
影艺
whose
术
works
家
helped emancipate
谢晋，
people's minds and right historical wrongs.
义乌小商品市场的催生培育者
谢高华
高华
founder of the Yiwu International Trade City.
鼓舞亿万农村青
陆遥
年
an
投
outstanding
身改
writer
革
whose
开
works
放的
helped
优
draw
秀作
countless young
家
people in rural
陆
China
遥。
to the reform and opening up endeavor.
绿水青山就是金
鲍
山
新民
银山理
an
念
ardent
的
follower of
践
the
行者
vision green is
鲍
gold.
新民，文物有效保护
樊
的探
锦诗
索
a
者
pioneer for cultural
樊
relics
锦诗
preservation.
量子信息研究的创新
潘建
者
伟 a pathfinder in
潘建
quantum
伟
information research.
为国家改革开
Fok
放
Ing Tong
做出杰
a
出
Hong
贡
Kong
献
entrepreneur
的
and
香港
social
著名企
advocate
业家
who made
和社会
exceptional
活动家
contributions to reform and
霍
opening
英
up.
东。航母战斗力建设的
戴
实践
明蒙
探
a
索
pioneer in
者
building strike
戴明
capability of
蒙
aircraft carriers.
助力我国医疗卫生事业发展和对外合作的开拓者阿
Alan
兰梅里
Machiu
埃，
pathfinder who contributed to the development and international cooperation of China's healthcare sector.
我国改革开放的第一位
Werner
洋
Gerich
厂长
China's first foreign factory
威尔纳
manager since
格里
reform and
希
opening up.
促进我国对外经
Klaus
济交
Schwab,
流合
global
作的国
advocate
际
who
活动
facilitated
家
China's dialogue and
克劳斯
cooperation
施
with
马
the
布
international community in the economic field.
国际知名企业参与
Konosuke
我国改革
Matsushita,
开放的
pioneer
先
who led
行
his
者
world-renowned
松下
enterprise
幸之助，
in participating in China's reform and opening up. Masayoshi Ohira, statesman who promoted the normalization of China-Japan relations and supported China's reform and opening up.
Lee
Kuan Yew, statesman who led Singapore's deep engagement in China's reform and opening up. Juan Antonio Samaranch, promoter of China's participation in the global Olympic movement. Stephen Perry, promoter of China-UK friendship and trade and people-to-people exchanges. Morris Greenberg, entrepreneur who advocated and promoted economic and trade cooperation between China and other countries and China-US friendship. Robert Kuhn, a friend of China who told the stories of contemporary China to the world. This is the end of the list.
The
recipients will now receive the awards and the medals from the central leaders. Now,
少先队员向受
the young
表彰人
pioneers
员
will
献
present
花。
flowers to the recipients.
让我们全体起立。
Let us all rise. Let us once again give a warm round of applause to all the individuals with outstanding contribution to reform and opening up, to express our appreciation and to pay high tribute to them.
Now, Comrade Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, President of China and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, will deliver important remarks. Comrades, friends, the 18th of December 1978, this day, important day, will be well remembered in the history of the Chinese nation, the history of the Communist Party of China, and the history of the People's Republic of China. On this very day, the third plenary session of the 11th CPC Central Committee was convened, marking a major turning point of far-reaching significance in the party's history since the founding of New China and heralding the start of a great journey of reform, opening up, and socialist modernization. 40 years on, we are gathered here to review the remarkable progress of reform and opening up in the past 40 years, to take stock of the great achievements and valuable experience, to rally all party members and all Chinese people, to advance reform and opening up in the new era, and to work tirelessly to realize the two centenary goals and the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation. Comrades and friends, the third plenary session was convened at an important historic juncture when the party and our country were at a crossroads. It was a time when the world economy was developing rapidly, and science and technology were making progress every day. China, however, ravaged by the decade-long Cultural Revolution, was on the brink of economic collapse and struggling to meet people's basic needs. There was an urgent need for reconstruction. People in and outside the party strongly demanded that the mistakes of the Cultural Revolution be corrected, so that our party and nation could emerge from a difficult period. Comrade Deng Xiaoping pointed out, if we don't make reforms now, our modernization program and socialist cause will be doomed. Led by Comrade Deng and supported by veteran revolutionaries, the third plenary session broke free from the long-existing shackles of leftist mistakes and repudiated the fallacy of the two whatevers. The session fully recognized that the scientific system of Mao Zedong thought must be correctly understood in its full context. The session spoke highly of the debate on the criterion for truth, thoroughly repudiated the slogan that class struggle is the key link, and re-established the Marxist ideological, political, and organizational line. This signified the beginning of reform and opening up in China. Our party made the historic decision of going for reform and opening up based on a profound grasp of the future of the party and of the country. On an in-depth review of the experience gained in socialist revolution and development, on keen insights into the trend of the times, and on a thorough understanding of people's aspirations and needs. Comrade Deng pointed out, poverty is not socialism, and we must keep abreast of the times. That is the very purpose of our reform. History runs on its own laws, yet people are not destined to be passive. With a clear understanding of the general trajectory of history, people would be able to seize historical opportunities for change and make pioneering efforts for greater progress of mankind. Reform and opening up is a great reawakening of our party, one that nurtured great creativity in both theory and practice for our party. Reform and opening up is a great revolution in the history of the Chinese people and the Chinese nation, one that propelled a quantum leap in the course of socialism with Chinese characteristics. Comrades and friends, the founding of the Communist Party of China, the founding of the People's Republic of China, and the pursuit of reform and opening up policy and socialism with Chinese characteristics. These historic events, taking place after the May 4th movement, represent the three milestones in achieving China's great national rejuvenation in modern times. With Comrade Mao Zedong as their chief representative, Chinese communists developed Mao Zedong Marxism, Leninism with the actual practice of the Chinese Revolution. They united and led the whole party and people of all ethnic groups in China in long and hard struggles, completed the new democratic revolution, built the People's Republic of China, and established the socialist system as China's basic system. Chinese communists thus accomplished the most profound and the greatest social transformation in China's history and created the fundamental political conditions and institutional foundation for all development and progress in China today. In this process, despite the serious setbacks it went through, the party developed distinctively creative theories and made tremendous success in socialist revolution and development, thus providing invaluable experience as well as a theoretical and material basis for launching the great initiative of building socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new historical period. After the third plenary session of the 11th CPC Central Committee, Chinese communists, with Comrade Deng Xiaoping as their chief representative, united and led the whole party and people of all ethnic groups in China in conducting a thorough review of China's experience in building socialism, both positive and negative. On that basis, and drawing on the experience of world socialism, they established Deng Xiaoping theory and the focus of the party and the country to economic development and to pursue the policy of reform and opening up. They gained a keen appreciation of the underlying goal of socialism and established the party's basic line for the primary stage of socialism. They called for taking one's own road and building socialism with Chinese characteristics, provided scientific answers to basic questions in this regard, and formulated a three-step development strategy aiming to basically realize socialist modernization by the middle of the 21st century. On this basis, the great initiative of building socialism with Chinese characteristics was successfully launched. After the fourth plenary session of the 13th CPC Central Committee, Chinese communists, with Comrade Jiang Zeming as their chief representative, united and led the whole party and the people of all ethnic groups in China in adhering to the party's basic theory and line, deepened their understanding of what socialism is and how to build it, and what kind of party to build and how to build it. They gathered valuable new experience in governing the party and the country and formed the theory of three represents, standing the severe tests posed by complex domestic and international developments and major setbacks in world socialism. They upheld socialism with Chinese characteristics, set the goal of socialist market reform, and developed a basic framework for achieving this goal. They reaffirmed the basic economic system and the system of income and distribution in the primary stage of socialism, ushered in a new phase in carrying out all-round reform and opening up, and pressed ahead with the great new undertaking of party building, thus advancing socialism with Chinese characteristics into the 21st century. After the party's 16th National Congress, Chinese communists, with Comrade Hu Jintao as their chief representative, united and led the whole party and people of all ethnic groups in China in continuing to take Deng Xiaoping theory and the theory of three represents as their guidance. On the basis of the new demands of development, they forged a deep understanding of and answered major questions, including what kind of development to pursue and how to pursue it in the new situation, thus forming the scientific outlook on development. They seized the important period of strategic opportunity and advanced practical, theoretical, and institutional explorations in the process of building a moderately prosperous society in all respects. By putting people first and calling for comprehensive, balanced, and sustainable development, Chinese communists made the overall plan for building socialism with Chinese characteristics centered around ensuring and improving people's well-being, promoting social fairness and justice, building a harmonious world, and strengthening the party's governance capacity and advanced nature, thus successfully upholding and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics from a new historical starting point. Since the 18th Party Congress, the CPC Central Committee has united and led the whole party and people of all ethnic groups in China in comprehensively assessing new developments at home and abroad. Through reviewing past experiences and looking into the future, we addressed the major question of our times. What kind of socialism with Chinese characteristics the new era requires us to uphold and develop, and how we should uphold and develop it. We have thus established the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. We have implemented the five-sphere integrated plan and the four-pronged comprehensive strategy, upheld the underlying principle of pursuing progress while ensuring stability, and put forth new ideas, new thinking, and new strategies for the work of the party and the country on various fronts, bring about historic changes and historic achievements in the course of the party and the country, and ushering in a new era of socialism with Chinese characteristics. With tremendous political courage and vision, we have reaffirmed that the overall goal of comprehensively deepening reform is to improve and develop the system of socialism with Chinese characteristics and modernize China's system and capacity for governance. We have pursued reform in a more systematic, holistic, and coordinated way, and focused our efforts on major institutional innovation with a view to increasing the sense of fulfillment, happiness, and security of our people. We have introduced more than 1,600 reform initiatives, cracked many hard nuts, and navigated through dangerous currents. Reform is going deeper across the board in a swift but steady manner, with breakthroughs on multiple fronts. Greatness is achieved through hardships and difficulties. In the past 40 years, we have worked to free people's minds and seek truth from facts, and broken new ground through bold trials and reforms. From introducing the household-based contract system, boosting the growth of rural enterprises, and abolishing agricultural tax, animal husbandry tax, and agricultural special product tax, to separating the ownership rights, contract rights, and management rights for contracted rural land, winning the battle against poverty, and implementing the rural vitalization strategy. From setting up special economic zones in Shenzhen and other cities, and opening up key cities in the coastal, border, and inland areas, and along the Yangtze River and major transport routes, to joining the WTO, promoting international cooperation on the Belt and Road, establishing pilot free trade zones, planning for a free trade port with Chinese features and successfully hosting the first China International Import-Export. From bringing in to going global. From bolstering SOEs of all sizes and growing the private sector to deepening reforms of state-owned capital and SOEs and developing mixed ownership economic entities. From upholding single public ownership to allowing economic entities of various ownerships to develop side by side with public ownership in the dominant position and unswervingly consolidating and developing the public sector and unswervingly encouraging, supporting and guiding the development of the non-public sector. From the traditional system of planned economy to the innovative system of socialist market economy and to the reform that enabled the market to play a decisive role in resource allocation and the government to better play its role. And from focusing reform on the economic system to comprehensively deepening reform of the economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological systems and the system of party building, we have made steady progress in advancing a series of major reform initiatives, including the institutional reform of the party and the government, reforms of the administrative system, the system for law-based governance, the judicial system, the foreign affairs system, the social governance system, the ecological inspection system, and the national security system, and the reforms of national defense and armed forces, of the institutional framework for party leadership and building, and of the discipline inspection and supervision system. We have continued to implement measures that deliver greater convenience and benefits to our people. Reform and opening up have thus become the defining feature and the most remarkable undertaking of contemporary China.
Comrades and friends, 4 decades ago, reform and opening up ushered in a new phase, progressed to a new century, and put China on a new starting point. Today, 4 decades on, China has entered a new era. Through 4 decades of united, arduous, and persistent struggles, the Communist Party of China has led the Chinese people on a soul-stirring historical journey and achieved epic accomplishments that moved heaven and earth. In the past 40 years, we have been committed to freeing our minds, seeking truth from facts, moving with the times, and applying a realistic and pragmatic approach. We have unswervingly followed the guidance of Marxism and the basic principles of scientific socialism, advanced innovation in theory, practice, system, culture, and other fields with courage, constantly enriched socialism with Chinese characteristics in both practice and theory, and enhanced its distinctive national features in keeping with the times. We have developed the path, theory, system, and the culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and improved the vitality of scientific socialism with irrefutable facts. The great banner of socialism continues to fly high over the land of China. In the past 40 years, we have been committed to fulfilling the central task of economic development and unleashing and developing productive forces. China's GDP grew from 367.9 billion yuan to 82.7 trillion yuan in 2017, up by 9.5% on an average annual basis, far above the global average of around 2.9%. Since the inception of reform and opening up, China's share of global GDP rose from 1.8% to 15.2%, generating more than 30% of global growth for years. China's foreign trade of goods soared from $20.6 billion to over $4 trillion. We have attracted over $2 trillion of foreign direct investment and invested $1.9 trillion overseas. We have also become a top producer of main agricultural products. We have put in place the most complete modern industrial system, achieved many innovation breakthroughs in science and technology, and completed a number of key projects. We have come a long way in infrastructure development, information, road, railway, and aviation networks cover much of the country. Major dam projects, the West-East Pipeline project, and the South-North Water Transfer project bring power, natural gas, and water to all parts of the country. China's high-speed rail, ocean liners, and planes connect different parts of the country like never before. China is now the world's second-largest economy, the biggest manufacturer, top trader of goods, and the second-largest consumer of goods, and second-largest recipient of foreign direct investment. For many years in a row, China has been the holder of the largest foreign exchange reserves. The Chinese people have made decisive strides toward greater prosperity and national strength. In the past 40 years, we have been committed to pursuing the path of socialist political advancement with Chinese characteristics, deepening reform of the political system, and developing socialist democracy. The institutions by which the party and the state exercise leadership have been improved. Substantial progress has been made in pursuing law-based governance in all fields. The Chinese socialist system of laws has been strengthened, providing stronger institutional and legal guarantee for the people to run the country. In the field of human rights, progress has been achieved across the board. A stronger patriotic united front has been formed. People enjoy and exercise a wider range of democratic rights as prescribed by law through more readily available channels and in more diverse forms. The Chinese people, with future in their own hands, are demonstrating enthusiasm, initiative, and creativity unseen before. They are an overwhelming force, forging ahead on the path of reform, opening up, and socialist modernization. In the past 40 years, we have been committed to developing an advanced socialist culture and raising socialist cultural ethical standards. Efforts have been made to cultivate and observe core socialist values and carry forward the fine traditional Chinese culture. We endeavor to guide people with scientific theories, unite them with the right tone in public communication, nurture faith with an advanced culture, and draw inspiration from fine works. Patriotism, collectivism, and socialism are very much alive in people's hearts. Many role models and heroes have emerged. Culture and arts are booming, and the development of internet and information technologies is gathering pace. The ideals, convictions, and cultural confidence of the Chinese nation have been strengthened, and the soft power and influence of the Chinese culture have been enhanced significantly. The great spirit of reform and opening up, which is born out of our 40-year-long endeavors, has significantly enriched our national character and become the most prominent hallmark of the Chinese people in the modern day. In the past 40 years, we have been committed to ensuring and improving people's living standards through development, with all-round progress in ensuring people's access to childcare, education, employment, medical services, elderly care, housing, and social assistance. People's lives and well-being have continued to improve. Per capita disposable income increased from 171 yuan to 26,000 yuan nationwide. The middle income group continues to expand. A total of 740 million Chinese people were lifted out of poverty, bringing the poverty headcount ratio down by 94.4 percentage points, which is a miracle in mankind's fight against poverty. Education has seen all-round development, with the percentage of students completing 9-year compulsory education reaching 93.8%. China has put in place the largest social safety net in the world, covering elderly care, health care, subsistence allowances, and housing. Basic old age pension schemes cover more than 900 million people, and health insurance plans cover more than 1.3 billion people. Permanent urban residents now account for 58.52% of the total population, up by 40.6 percentage points. Life expectancy has been extended from 67.8 years in 1981 to 76.7 years in 2017. The stability China has enjoyed over these decades make it one of the safest countries in the world. Coupons of food, cloth, meat, fish, cooking oil, tofu, groceries, and industrial goods were once part of people's daily life. Now they are only seen in museums. Hunger, shortage, and poverty that plagued the Chinese people for thousands of years have been generally left behind. In the past 40 years, we have stayed committed to environmental protection, resources conservation, and the building of an ecological civilization. We have accelerated our efforts to develop a system for building an ecological civilization, steadily improved the system of functional zoning, made big headway in energy conservation and emission reduction, achieved smooth progress in major ecological conservation and restoration projects, significantly strengthened ecological and environmental governance, and actively participated in and played a leading role in international cooperation to respond to climate change. All these efforts have made our homeland a more beautiful and a better place to live. In the past 40 years, we have upheld the absolute party leadership over the armed forces and steadily advanced the modernization of national defense and the military. We have seen a revolutionary restructuring of the people's armed forces, historic breakthroughs in weapons and equipment, a fundamental transformation in the way our military is run, and a strengthened awareness of its revolutionary tasks and modernization and standardization programs. The People's Armed Forces have acquired significantly greater ability to protect our sovereignty, security, and development interests, and have become an invincible force, defending the happy lives of our people, the motherland, and the world peace. In the past 40 years, we have stayed committed to the great cause of peaceful reunification of the motherland. We have implemented the basic principle of one country, two systems, and resumed the exercise of sovereignty over Hong Kong and Macau, wiping out the century-long humiliation we had suffered. We have upheld the One China principle and the 1992 consensus, strengthened cross-strait economic and cultural exchanges and cooperation, and promoted the peaceful development of cross-strait relations. We have resolutely opposed and deterred separatist elements advocating Taiwan independence, keeping a firm hold on the initiative in developing cross-strait relations. All the sons and daughters of the Chinese nation, and at home and abroad, have developed a stronger sense of identification with the Chinese nation and the Chinese culture, and a firmer resolve to pursue the Chinese dream together. In the past 40 years, we have stayed committed to an independent foreign policy of peace, the path of peaceful development, and a win-win strategy of opening up. We have firmly upheld the basic norms governing international relations and fairness and justice in world affairs. We have made a historic transition from a closed and semi-closed country to one that embraces all-round opening up. We have taken an active part in economic globalization and made our contribution to the common development of mankind. We have actively promoted the building of a noble world economy and a community with a shared future for mankind. We have pushed for the reform of the global governance system. We have unequivocally opposed hegemony and power politics and contributed Chinese wisdom, Chinese approach, and Chinese strength to world peace and development. China has moved closer to center stage as a widely recognized promoter of world peace, contributor to global development, and defender of international order. In the past 40 years, we have made continued efforts to strengthen and improve party leadership. Active measures have been taken to address the risks and tests in reform and opening up, confronting our party while exercising long-term governance. Steady progress has been made in the great new project of party building to maintain the advanced nature and purity of the party and its close bond with the people. Vigorous efforts have been made to explore the laws that underlie the governance of a communist party, the development of socialism, and the evolution of human society. so as to continue to reach new realm in adapting Marxism to the Chinese context. We have ensured that the party exercises effective self-supervision and practices strict self-governance. We have improved the party's political ecosystem, worked ceaselessly to improve party conduct and enforce party discipline, and taken tough action against the practice of formalities for formalities' sake, bureaucratism, hedonism, and extravagance. No tolerance has been shown in the crackdown on corruption. The anti-corruption campaign has delivered a crushing victory. The revolutionary tempering has made our party the backbone of the Chinese people and the Chinese nation, always at the forefront of the times. The progress made in 40 years of reform and opening up has profoundly changed China, the Chinese nation, the Chinese people, and the Communist Party of China. The Chinese nation has achieved a tremendous transformation from standing up, growing rich, to becoming strong. Socialism with Chinese characteristics has achieved a tremendous transformation from establishment, development, to improvement. The Chinese people have achieved a tremendous transformation from days of scarcity to a life of moderate prosperity. The Chinese nation, with an entirely new posture, now stands tall and firm in the East. What we have achieved in the past 40 years is not a godsend, still less a gift from others. It comes from the hard work, wisdom, and the courage of all members of the party and the people of all ethnic groups in China. In just a few decades, we have completed an industrialization process that took developed countries several hundred years. The Chinese people have achieved what was once impossible. We are immensely proud of our fellow countrymen and women who have worked an unprecedented miracle. On behalf of the CPC Central Committee, I hereby pay high tribute to all workers, farmers, intellectuals, public servants, officers, and the men and women of the People's Liberation Army and the Armed Police Force, and the public security police officers who have contributed talent and efforts in their own fields to reform and opening up and to the modernization of our socialist country. My high tribute also goes to all other political parties, public figures without party affiliation, people's organizations, and patriots from all sectors of society. I would also like to extend my sincere greetings to our fellow countrymen and women in the Hong Kong and Macau special administrative regions and in Taiwan, and to overseas Chinese who have worked relentlessly to promote China's reform and opening up and the advancement for China's modernization. I would also like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to all the friends and people from other countries who have shown understanding of and support for China's reform and opening up and modernization.
Comrades and friends, the past 40 years eloquently prove that the path theory, system, and the culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics pioneered in the wake of the third plenary session of the 11th CPC Central Committee by the Chinese people of all ethnic groups rallying under the leadership of the CPC are completely correct. And the CPC basic theory, line, and policy that have since taken shape are completely correct. The past 40 years eloquently prove that China's development provides a successful experience and offers a bright prospect for other developing countries as they strive for modernization. China's development has effectively served the cause of world peace and development and represents a great contribution of the Chinese nation to the progress of human civilization. The past 40 years eloquently prove that the reform and opening up is an important way for the party and the people to stride ahead to catch up with the times. The only path to uphold and develop socialism with Chinese characteristics, a game-changing move in making China what it is today, and a game-changing move for us to achieve China's two centenary goals and its great national rejuvenation. Only by following and proactively adapting to historical trends can we keep up with the times. As the Chinese adage goes, practice enriches knowledge. More knowledge leads to better practice. The lessons learned in the past 40 years of reform and opening up are an invaluable legacy that the party and people hold dear. They're extremely important in steering China's continued endeavor to uphold and develop socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era. We must cherish and follow such valuable experience for a long time to come and must enrich and grow such assets through further reform and opening up. First, we must see the party exercise its leadership over all work and keeps enhancing and improving its way of leadership. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, leadership of the Communist Party of China is the most essential attribute of socialism with Chinese characteristics and the greatest strength of this system. The party exercises overall leadership over all areas of endeavor in every part of the country. It is by upholding the centralized, unified leadership of the party that we have been able to achieve the historic transformation, ushering a new era of reform and opening up, and embark on a new journey of great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, that we have been able to rise above major risks and challenges and overcome numerous difficulties, that we have been able to respond to change, sail through turbulence, withstand the impact of the severe floods, the SARS epidemic, and devastating earthquakes, and tackle international financial crises, that we have neither retraced our steps to the rigidity and isolation of the past, nor taken the wrong turn by changing our nature and abandoning our system. And we have been able to stay committed to the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics. To ensure leadership by the party, we must keep improving the way it governs to better adapt to the requirement of the practice, the time, and the people. On the question of ensuring leadership by the party, a fundamental principle that bears on the future of the party and the country, all party members and people must maintain a high degree of self-consciousness in terms of thinking, political orientation, and actions. There should be no hesitation or wavering in any way. On our way forward, we must become deeply conscious of the need to maintain political integrity, think in big picture terms, follow the leadership cord, and keep in alignment. We must strengthen confidence in the path, theory, system, and culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics. We must resolutely uphold the authority of the Party Central Committee and decentralized unified leadership, and see that leadership by the party is exercised and embodied in all our work relating to reform, development, and stability. No success of reform and opening up comes easily. In the years to come, risks and challenges of all sorts are inevitable. There may even be unforeseen dangers. The party must guide the overall situation and coordinate the work of all sides, remain committed to practicing scientific, democratic, and law-based governance, improve the way the party exercises leadership and governance, improve the party's ability to govern and lead, strengthen the party's ability and the resolve to chart our course, craft overall plans, design policy, and promote reform, and see that China's ship of reform and opening up will break waves and sail on the right course.
第二，
Second,
必须坚持
we must adhere to the people-oriented approach
不断实现人
and keep
民对
delivering
美好
on the
生活的
aspirations
向往
of。the people for a better life.
改革开放40年的实践启示我们，
As the reform and opening up in the
为
past 4
中国人
decades
民
has
谋
shown,
幸福，
seeking happiness for the
为中华
Chinese
民族
people
谋复
and
兴，
striving for rejuvenation
是
of the
中国
Chinese
共产
nation
党的
is
初
the
心
founding
和使
aspiration
命，
and mission of the Communist
也
Party
是
of
改革
China
开放的初心
and those of our
和使
reform
命。
and opening up endeavor.
我们党来自
The
人
Communist
民，
Party of China comes
扎
from
根
the
人民，
people, has its
造福
roots
人民，
among the people,
全
and is
心全意
dedicated to
为人民
serving
服
the
务，
people.
是党的
Serving the
根本
public
宗
good
旨。
wholeheartedly is a
必须
fundamental
以最
purpose
广
and
大人民
principle
根
of
本
the
利益
party,
为
and
我
everything
们
we
一切
do
工作
must
的
be in
根
the
本出
fundamental
发点
interest
和
of
落脚
all
点。
our people.
坚持把人
In
民拥
considering
护
and
不拥
introducing a
护，
policy,
赞
we
成
must
不赞
first and
成，
foremost ensure
高
the
兴不高
backing,
兴，
approval,
作为
and
制定政
endorsement
策的
of the
依据，
people.
顺应民心，
We must act
尊重
in line
民意，
with our people's aspirations,
关注
respect
民
their
情，
views and ideas,
致
care
力
about
民
their
生，
worries and concerns, and commit to
既通
improving
过
their
提出
livelihood.
并贯彻正确的
As we
理
lead the
论
people on our
和
way
路线
forward,
方针
we
政
need to
策，
adopt and
带
implement the
领
right
人民
theory,
前进，
guideline, and policy,
又
and
从
at the
人民
same
实践
time
创造
draw
和发展
strength
要
from
求
the
中
practice,
获得
creativity, and
前进
development
动力，
aspirations of our people.
让人民共享
We must see
改
that
革
our
开
people
放
share
成
the
果，
fruits of reform and
激励
opening
人
up,
民
and
更
are
加自
highly
觉地
motivated to
投身改
contribute to
革开放
reform, opening
和
up,
社
and
会主义
socialist
现代化建设
modernization.
事业。前进道路上，
On
我
our
们
way
必须始
forward,
终把人
the
民对
aspirations
美
of the
好生
people
活的
for a
向
better
往
life must
作为我
always
们的
be the focus
奋斗
of
目
our
标。
efforts.
践行
We
党
must
的
observe the
基本
party's
宗旨，
fundamental purpose,
贯彻
put
党
into
的
practice
群
the
众路
party's
线，
mass line,
尊重人
and
民
respect
主体
the
地位，
principal status of the
尊重
people.
人民群众在实践
We
活
must
动中
respect the
所
wishes they
表达的
express,
意愿、所
the
创
best
造的经验、
practices they
所
create,
拥有的权
the
利，
rights they're
所发挥的
entitled
作用，
to, and the role they
充
play.
分激发蕴藏
And we
在
must
人民
fully
群众中
stimulate
的
and
创
unlock
造
their
伟力。
creativity.
我们要健全民主
We
制
must
度，
improve our democratic
拓宽民主
institutions,
渠道，
establish more
丰富
democratic
民主形
channels,
式，
diversify our forms of
完善法
democracy,
治保障
and，strengthen the rule of law
确保
and
人
the
民
legal
依
safeguards,
法享
so
有
that our people
广
can
泛
truly
充分
and fully enjoy
真
a
实
broad
具体
range of democratic rights
有
that
效
are
管
tangible,
用的
meaningful,
民主权利。
and practical as prescribed
我们
by
要着
law.
力解决人民群
We
众
must take targeted
所
measures
需、
to
所急所
address
盼，
the most urgent
让人
needs
民共享
and immediate
经济、
expectations of the
政
people.
治、
We
文
must
化、
see that what has
社
been
会、
achieved in economic,
生态等
political,
各方面
cultural,
发展
social,
成
and
果，
ecological
有
fields
更
are
多、
shared
更直
among
接、更
all our
实在
people,
的
and
获
that
得
they
感、
have a stronger
幸福
sense of
感、
fulfillment,
安全感，
greater happiness,
不断
and
促
feel
进
safer
人的
and more
全面发
secure
展，
in a more direct
全
and
体人
tangible
民
manner.
共
We
同
should
富裕。
promote all-round development of the people and strive for prosperity for all.
第三，
Third,
必须坚持马克思主
we
义
must
指导
uphold
地位，
Marxism as our guiding
不断推
ideology
进
and explore
实践基础上的
theoretical innovations
理论
based on
创新。
practice. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, innovation is the lifeline of reform and opening up. Just as there are no bounds to practice, there is no end to freeing the minds. Friedrich Engels says that the final causes of all social changes and the political revolutions are to be sought not in men's brains, not in men's better insight into eternal truth and justice, but in changes in the modes of production and exchange. We must base the party's theory on reality and answer the questions of our times and of the people in a timely manner. We must expel any dark cloud or misunderstanding that may hinder or constrain our thinking and action. We must update and popularize Marxism in the context of a modern-day China and make new breakthroughs in developing Marxism. On our way forward, we must firmly follow the guidance of Marxism, Leninism, Mao Zedong thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, the theory of 3 represents, and the scientific outlook on development, and the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. We must remain committed to both freeing the minds and seeking truth from facts. We Chinese communists are duty-bound to develop Marxism in the 21st century and adapt it to the Chinese context. This is our historic mission. We must enhance our awareness of the problems, keep abreast with the times, and have a strategic thinking. We must acquire a keen understanding of the nature and intrinsic connections of any development from a deeper historical and broader global perspective, and follow closely the creative practice of hundreds of millions of the Chinese people. We must draw on the achievements of all fine cultures and civilizations in the world, keep answering new and important questions of our times and in our practice, and see that the truth of Marxism developed in the context of contemporary China shine with more brilliance. Fourth, we must stay on the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and uphold and develop socialism with Chinese features. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, the direction determines the future, and the path determines the destiny. To keep our destiny in our own hands, we must remain true and committed to our original aspirations and chosen path. All the theories and practice of our party in the past 40 years of reform and opening up are based on one and same theme: upholding and advancing socialism with Chinese characteristics. There is no textbook of golden rules to follow for reform and development in China, a country with over 5,000 years of civilization and more than 1.3 billion people. No one is in a position to dictate to the Chinese people what should or should not be done. Chinese writer Lu Xun once wrote, "What is a road? A road is made when many people trod the earth through thistles and thorns." Socialism with Chinese characteristics provides a broad pathway for China to advance with the times and steer the course of development today. We must therefore stay the course. On our way forward, we must continue to follow the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era and the guiding principles of the party's 19th National Congress, enhance our confidence in the path, theory, system, and culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and keep to the right direction of reform and opening up. What to reform and how to go about the reform must be consistent with the overarching goal of improving and developing the system of socialism with Chinese characteristics and modernizing China's system and capacity for governance. We will resolutely reform what should and can be reformed, and make no change where there should and cannot be any reform. We must stick to the party's basic line and remain committed to the central task of economic development and the 2 basic points of adhering to the 4 cardinal principles and upholding reform and opening up in the great undertaking of building socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. This is our abiding and unwavering commitment.
第五，必须坚持完善。
Fifth, we must improve and develop the system of socialism with Chinese characteristics to harness and enhance the advantages of our system. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, the system is of fundamental and overarching significance for the long-term stability and development of all endeavors of the party and the country. We have worked persistently to improve and develop the system of socialism with Chinese characteristics. This has bolstered our efforts to unlock and develop social productivity, unleash and increase social vitality, and preserve the vigor of the party and the country. This has underpinned social stability, public well-being, and national security. And this has fostered vibrant institutions and mechanisms that enable labor, knowledge, technology, managerial expertise, and capital to play their full part in invigorating the market and open up all sources of social wealth. On our way forward, we must unswervingly consolidate and develop the public sector and unswervingly encourage, support, and guide the development of the non-public sector. We must give full play to the decisive role of the market in resource allocation, better leverage the role of the government, and stimulate the vitality of various market entities. We must ensure the unity of party leadership, the running of the country by the people, and law-based governance, and uphold and improve the system of people's congresses, the system of multi-party cooperation and political consultation under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, the system of regional ethnic autonomy, and the system of community-level self-governance. We must advance law-based governance on all fronts, consolidate and develop the broadest possible patriotic united front, and promote people's democracy to provide systemic and institutional guarantees to ensure that our people run the country. We must strengthen institution building in the cultural field to stick to our ideals, rally public support, cultivate talent worthy of the times, reinvigorate our culture, and raise China's international profile. We must actively cultivate and preserve the core socialist values, promote the creative evolution and development of the fine traditional Chinese culture, ensure that our revolutionary culture remain alive and strong, and develop an advanced culture in an effort to foster a Chinese culture that shines in our times and shines in the world. We must strengthen institution building on social governance to promote social fairness and justice and to maintain law and order. We must enhance institution building on ecological conservation and implement the strictest possible systems for environmental protection. We must get rid of all institutional ailments and blockades of vested interests that impede development, and step up the building of a set of institutions that are well conceived, procedure-based, and efficiently functioning to secure a more mature and established system of socialism with Chinese characteristics. Sixth, we must continue to take development as the top priority and enhance our composite national strength. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, unlocking and developing social productivity and increasing the composite strength of socialist countries is an essential requirement and a fundamental task of socialism. We must keep to the central task of economic development, adhere to the strategic thinking that development is the absolute principle and that the development we pursue must be sound and of high quality, and strive for sustained and healthy economic and social progress. Only by doing so can we boost our economic and technological strength, defense capabilities, and composite national strength in all respects, and lay a solid material foundation for upholding and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics, and for achieving the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. On our way forward, we must continue to focus on tackling the principal contradiction in our society, which is the the contradiction between unbalanced and inadequate development and the people's ever-growing needs for a better life. We must fully apply the vision of innovative, coordinated, green and open development for all, advance the five-sphere integrated plan in a holistic way, and pursue the four-pronged comprehensive strategy with coordinated efforts. We must promote high-quality development, strive for parallel progress in new industrialization, IT application, urbanization, and agricultural modernization, speed up the building of a modernized economy, and work toward higher quality development of greater efficiency, greater fairness, and greater sustainability. Centering around the supply-side structural reform as the overarching task, we must actively shift our growth model, upgrade our economic structure, foster new growth drivers, and stimulate domestic demand. We must implement the coordinated regional development strategy and the rural vitalization strategy, and take resolute steps to meet the three tough challenges, namely forestalling and diffusing major risks, carrying out targeted poverty alleviation, and preventing and controlling pollution, guided by the principle that innovation is the primary driver for development and that talent is our most important resource. We must implement the innovation-driven development strategy, improve our national innovation system, and accelerate homegrown innovation in key and critical technologies to foster new engines for economic growth and social progress. We must enhance ecological conservation, keep to the thinking that a good environment is a most valuable asset, and follow a greener model of development and way of life so that our great motherland will become more beautiful and our people will live in a better environment of blue skies, green mountains, and clear waters. Seventh, we must stay committed to reform and opening up, and promote joint efforts to build a community with a shared future for mankind. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, openness brings progress, while seclusion leads to backwardness. China cannot develop itself in isolation of the world, while the world also needs China for global prosperity. Bearing in mind China's internal and international imperatives, we have stayed committed to the fundamental national policy of opening up, followed a proactive approach to opening up, and entered a new stage of comprehensive, multi-level and wide-ranging opening up, thus creating a sound international environment and broader development space for China. On our way forward, we must hold high the banner of peace, development, cooperation, and mutual benefit, uphold our fundamental foreign policy goal of maintaining world peace and promoting common development, and work to forge a new form of international relations featuring mutual respect, fairness, justice, and win-win cooperation. We must respect the right of the people of all countries to choose their own development path, uphold international fairness and justice, advocate greater democracy in international relations, and oppose the practices of imposing one's will upon others, interfering in others' internal affairs, or the strong bullying the weak. We must continue to play our role as a responsible major country, support the development of other developing countries, take an active part in reforming and developing the global governance system, and work with all other countries for an open, inclusive, clean, and beautiful world that enjoys lasting peace, universal security, and common prosperity. We must support an open, transparent, inclusive, and non-discriminatory multilateral trading system, promote trade and investment liberalization and facilitation, and make economic globalization more open, inclusive, balanced, and beneficial to all. Focusing on jointly undertaking the Belt and Road Initiative, we must work with all parties concerned to develop a new platform for international cooperation and lend new impetus to shared progress in the world. China will never pursue its development at the cost of others' interests, nor will China ever give up its own legitimate rights and interests. China pursues a national defense policy that is defensive in nature, and China's development poses no threat to any country. No matter what stage of development it reaches, China will never seek hegemony. Eighth, we must exercise full and rigorous governance over the party to continuously enhance the party's ability to innovate, the power to unite, and the energy to fight. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, it takes a good blacksmith to make good steel. The key to running China's affairs well lies in the party, in its commitment to self-supervision and rigorous self-governance in all respects. In the course of leading the great undertaking of reform and opening up and socialist modernization, our party must unswervingly pursue self-revolution and have the courage to rid itself of any virus that erodes its health, so that the party will continuously purify, improve, and reform itself, and have a stronger capability to lead politically, guide through theory, organize the people, and inspire society. Only in this way can the party always maintain its close ties with the people. On our way forward, we must follow the general requirements for party building in the new era, take enhancing the party's political building as the overarching task, and continuously advance the great new project of party building. We must continue to enhance party unity and creativity, strengthen its ability for governance, and make the party stronger and more efficient. We must reflect upon ourselves in light of the requirement of the times, stay keenly aware of potential dangers, and strengthen and improve ourselves with the spirit of reform and innovation. We must enhance our capabilities in the course of tackling risks and challenges, stay pure through resolving the acute problems within the party, and upgrade the ability for party supervision and governance. We must select officials on the basis of both integrity and ability, with priority given to the former, and based on their merits, focusing on cultivating high-caliber officials with loyalty, integrity, and a keen sense of responsibility, as well as a large talent pool. We must have the resolve and tenacity to persevere in the never-ending fight against corruption, tackle corruption in both its symptoms and root causes, and hold all corrupt officials accountable. We must work hard to ensure that officials are honest, the government is clean, and political affairs are handled with integrity to foster a clean and corruption-free political environment for our continued efforts of reform and opening up. Ninth, we must maintain the worldview and methodology of dialectical and historical materialism to strike a balance between reform, development, and stability. As the reform and opening up in the past 4 decades has shown, a major country like China cannot afford any disruptive mistake on fundamental issues. We have both upheld party leadership and respected the pioneering drive of our people. We have crossed the river by feeling for the stones, and at the same time strengthened top-level planning. We have been focused on both solving problems and getting results. And we have both pursued pilot programs and rolled them out nationwide in due course, thus incentivizing bold and pioneering endeavors while keeping to a realistic and earnest approach. This has enabled our reform and opening up to come such a long way. On our way forward, we must adopt a strategic perspective, develop a dialectical approach to thinking and creative thinking, think in terms of the rule of law, and think about worst-case scenarios. We must bear in mind the big picture, strengthen top-level planning, and stay focused on tackling the major problems in China's development. We must conduct in-depth research, encourage local authorities to make bold explorations, and keep the reform-related decision-making in line with legislative moves to make the decision-making on reform sounder. We must show full tenacity and persistence to see all major reform measures through. We must be bold and enterprising and take a proactive yet prudent approach with prompt yet steady steps to pursue reform development and stability simultaneously. We must keep to the right direction, stay on the right path, and forge ahead with undiminished intensity in pursuit of greater progress in the reform and opening up in the new era.
Comrades and friends, to build a solid national defense and a strong military commensurate with China's international standing and consistent with its security and development interests, and deliver national prosperity and military strength at the same time is a strategic mission in China's socialist modernization. We will comprehensively follow through on the party's goal of building a strong military in the new era, uphold absolute party leadership over the armed forces, adapt to the trend of a new global military revolution, follow the path of building a strong military with Chinese characteristics, and comprehensively deepen national defense and military reform. We must continue to enhance the political loyalty of the armed forces, strengthen them through reform and technology, and run them in accordance with law. We must build the people's forces into world-class forces that obey the party's command, can fight and win, and maintain excellent conduct so as to firmly safeguard China's sovereignty, security, and development interests, uphold world peace and stability, and ensure the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The great vision of one country, two systems is of strong vitality. We must fully and faithfully implement the policies of one country, two systems, the people of Hong Kong governing Hong Kong, the people of Macau governing Macau, and a high degree of autonomy for both regions. We must act in strict compliance with China's constitution and the basic laws of the two SARs, and improve the systems and mechanisms for enforcing the basic laws. We will ensure lasting prosperity and stability of Hong Kong and Macau, and support and facilitate their efforts to integrate into China's overall development, so that our compatriots in Hong Kong and Macau will, together with all their fellow countrymen and women on the mainland, shoulder the historical responsibility of national rejuvenation and sharing the pride of a prosperous and a strong motherland. To achieve complete reunification of the motherland is a shared aspiration of all the Chinese people and represents the fundamental interest of the Chinese nation. We will uphold the One China principle and the 1992 consensus, cement and develop the foundation for peaceful development cross-strait relations, and deepen economic and cultural exchanges and cooperation across the straits to the benefit of compatriots on both sides. With firm political resolve and a strong capability to uphold national sovereignty and territorial integrity, we will never allow any of our sacred territory, not even an inch, to be separated from the motherland. Comrades and friends, the Chinese people pursue great dreams, and the Chinese nation brims with the spirit of reform and openness. The Zhou dynasty several thousand years ago, though an old nation, still took reform and renewal as its mission. It is in this very spirit that the forefathers of the Chinese nation set out on a great endeavor that developed and shaped the Chinese civilization. Since ancient times, China has seen numerous movements aimed at strengthening the nation through reform, as evidenced by such resounding declaration that there is more than one way of governance, and the ancient way is not the only way to develop a nation. Guided by the belief that all people under the heaven are of one family and all nations should live in harmony, the Chinese nation, since ancient times, has engaged in interactions and cultural exchanges with foreign nations in a confident and broad-minded manner. Such vibrant engagement gave rise to the ancient Silk Road, accentuated by the pleasant ringing of camel bells along the way, as well as the grand gathering of people from around the world in the magnificent city of Chang'an, capital of the Tang Dynasty. As an ancient Chinese saying goes, just as heaven maintains vigor through movement, a gentleman should constantly strive for self-perfection. And just as the earth stays receptive through supporting others, a gentleman should embrace the world with all humbleness. Such spirit of reform and opening up gave rise to the splendid Chinese civilization, the only one in human history that has extended uninterrupted for more than 5,000 years. A review of the past several thousand years shows that reform and opening up remains the norm throughout China's history. Such profound historical and cultural heritage has dictated that the Chinese nation will continue to embrace the future through reform and opening up. A big country like China should have grand vision. According to Comrade Mao Zedong, to win countrywide victory is only the first step in a long march. Even if this step is worthy of pride, it is comparatively tiny. What will be more worthy of pride is yet to come. After several decades, the victory of the Chinese People's Democratic Revolution, viewed in retrospect, will seem like only a brief prologue to a long drama. A drama begins with a prologue, but the prologue is not the climax. We are not only good at destroying the old world, we are also good at building the new. In the early days of reform and opening up, despite the serious challenges faced by a big country like China, such as population pressure and a weak economic foundation, we never lost confidence in the future and came up with a three-step blueprint to basically achieve socialist modernization in 70-plus years. Such a long-term vision and a major decision would not have been possible without extraordinary courage and firm confidence. In the past 40 years, we have stayed committed to this great goal of ours, come rain or shine. The 19th Party Congress has set even higher goals for China's development and made strategic plans for China to finish the building of a moderately prosperous society in all respects, to basically achieve modernization, and to develop into a great modern socialist country in every dimension. It was the strongest ever call for realizing the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation. An ancient Chinese philosopher pointed out that careful planning and concrete actions lead to success, while complacency results in failure. A great dream will not come true through waiting or chanting slogans. It can only be fulfilled with hard work and perseverance. We are now in a stage very much like sailing to the midstream of a river or climbing halfway up a mountain. As the goings get tough, we must press ahead, and there is no turning back. We have come a long way in reform and opening up, but we have to overcome new challenges on our way ahead. The mission in front of the whole party and the people of all ethnic groups in the country is more glorious, the task more difficult, the challenge more daunting, and the job even greater. In a dynamic atmosphere in which everyone is motivated and driven to get things done, we should never be self-complacent or stick to the beaten track, nor should we ever hesitate or procrastinate. Instead, we must step up the great struggle, great project, great cause, and a great dream in a concerted effort. And we must always stand ahead of the curve and keep forging ahead. Conviction, commitment, and confidence matter at all times. With these traits, an individual, a group, or political party, a people, or even a country would always emerge stronger from setbacks. But without them, one would easily give up and lose the courage to fight. Our conviction in Marxism, our commitment to socialism with Chinese characteristics, and our confidence in realizing the Chinese dream of great national rejuvenation were, are, and will always be a powerful source of strength that inspires and supports the Chinese people in standing up, growing rich, and becoming strong. Comrades and friends, despite all the difficulties standing in our way over the past 40 years, we have met them head-on and grown from strength to strength, just as a mighty river cuts through mountains and surges ahead by gathering the force of thousands of streams. The untold sufferings, heavy sacrifices, and heroic struggles of the Chinese people and the Chinese nation have fostered a mighty energy over a long course of history. Today, such an energy has been brought out and offers an irresistible driving force for our national rejuvenation. Turning China into a great modern socialist country and achieving national rejuvenation is like a relay race in which the baton is passed down from generation to generation. Every generation must strive for a good score for the sake of future ones. We, the entire party and the Chinese people of all ethnic groups, should rally closely around the party central committee and hold high the banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics, remaining true to our original aspiration and keeping our mission firmly in mind. We will stay committed to advancing reform and opening up, and see that our people realize their aspirations for a better life. In this way, we will create new and even greater miracles of the Chinese nation in the new era. Miracles that will truly impress the world. Comrades and friends, ladies and gentlemen, just now in his important speech, General Secretary Xi Jinping made thorough review of the great accomplishments and valuable experience in the building of the party and the country over 40 years of reform and opening up, commended the Chinese people for their outstanding contribution to the cause of reform and opening up, stated China's confidence and resolve in carrying forward reform and opening up, reaffirmed the goal of comprehensively deepening reform, expanding, opening up, and pressing ahead with reform and opening up in the new era. Let us rally more closely around the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, hold high the great banner of Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics, stay true to our original aspiration, keep our mission firmly in mind, stay committed to reform, meet the aspiration of people for a better life, strive for the realization of the two centenary goals, the building of a great modern socialist country that is strong, prosperous, democratic, culturally advanced, harmonious, and beautiful, and the realization of the Chinese dream of great national rejuvenation, and make unremitting efforts to uphold peace, promote common development, and build a community with a shared future for mankind. This is the end of the conference commemorating the 40th anniversary of reform and opening up.